Welcome to Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on CW11.
Welcome in here to Home Track Heroes on the CW11. Thank you so much for tuning us in here on a Sunday night. We're awfully glad to have you in. My name is Caleb Hart, and our roving and rotating color commentary group. We got a brand new face here tonight. Really excited to get Haley Constance in and joining us on Home Track Heroes. Haley, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show this week.
We've got a really packed show. We've got sprint cars, street stocks, super stock figure eights. We've got the legends. We've got the youth Hornets. And you're a driver who's experienced a lot of different things here at Evergreen Speedway in your driving career, right?
Yeah, so I started out in the Youth Hornet class, which was super exciting because that's ages, I believe, 12 to 15. And after that, I moved to Junior Late Models, which was at Wenatchee, and then I came back here to race the Pro Late Model class, and that's what I'm doing this season.
Well, tonight, your color commentator, and you're going to lend us your expertise from the driver's seat as we move into our program. Thank you guys for being with us. Let's get some cars out on the racetrack, and first up, it'll be the INEX Legends, and this is their B feature. Huge group of INEX Legends here with us today at Evergreen Speedway. Let's get a look for this 15-lap B feature. Top four will move up into the back of the A main event. The front row, dueling Bennett's. It's Tanner Bennett in the 2. Next to him, it's going to be Chad Bennett in the 52. Row number 2, it's Antonio Bianchi in the 51 and Jeremiah Johnson in car number 13. Row number 3 is Dakota Gruchala, the 27D, sponsored by Weatherright Roofing Inc. And Deacon Postle, the 64, is sponsored by Clean Crawls, starting in 6th. 7th and 8th, Davis Jacobson, the 15, sponsored by Evergreen Concrete Cutting, and Aaron Flett in the 98, sponsored by Kent Collision Center. The 5th row is Derek Bloomingdale in car number 11, sponsored by Blooming Therapy PLLC, and in the Weatherright Roofing number 10, it is Chris Thompson. 6th row, Will Evans, the Monk Motorsports 46, and Robert Zimmerman's Kevin's Scrap Metal Services sponsor number 22. Final 3 rows, Piper Alton, the 42A, sponsored by Straight Alignment, and Bella Luce in the 55. Kaylee Decker, the 68, sponsored by Joe's Tree and Timber, and Dennis McMullen in the 86. Gabriel Guevara in the Frost Towing number 4R, and Josh Vlock in the 76C make up this big B feature, 20 cars scheduled for 15 laps. Haley, you're getting a little more familiar with this Legends division as you've got a legend in your garage, not necessarily one that you get to run, but one that you get to see worked on all the time. These are cool little race cars, aren't they?
It is super cool. It's definitely a different type of car for me, and it's been really exciting learning about them, seeing how they drive, and although I'm not in the car, it's been super exciting having it in my shop and getting to learn more about it.
You are very familiar with high horsepower, short wheelbase racing, though, as you've spent some time on the dirt, running micro sprints at Deming Speedway and such. High horsepower, short wheelbase, those get hard to handle.
Yeah, they're definitely difficult to drive, and as a lot of people have said in the Legend division, they're very twitchy. And obviously we see some spins happening, so they're not easy to drive, and I think it's a great class for beginners, and there's a lot of young drivers, and as we see in this B main, it's a stacked field. So
interestingly enough, if the Legends had been running at Evergreen Speedway back when you were about that age range, now you can jump into one of these cars as early as your early teens, so it's an interesting place for a lot of young talent to come up and through, as we've got 12, 13-year-olds out in this field, not necessarily in this B main, but we'll see a bit later on in the A main event.
Yeah, it's definitely incredible. I love getting to see the young drivers come up and be able to race with adults even, so it's super cool.
Well, the Evergreen Speedway pace car pulling off the racetrack. You can see them trying their best to kind of form up and get ready to go. Green flag racing around our 3/8 mile. There's the pace car once again. Big thank you to Speedway Chevrolet for providing us our brand new Camaro pace car that looks so good. Got to let you guys know that, of course, today, Town and Country Tractors Night at the track. And nice to have the sun shining as Mother Nature has been trying to keep us a little bit soggy here on the early portion of the year. But, hey, good weather. We'll take it, right?
Yep.
So they'll go 2x2 down the back straightaway. Top 4 will tag the back of what should end up being a 30-lap A main event. Warm track conditions and a warm day out. Let's see how the drivers adjust to it. As the inside lane gases are up, and we're still not quite ready to go green flag. And well, you've been in these situations before. You know, the late models are usually given more than a few laps, not just to pace around, but to warm your tires up. Do you like that, or you just want to get lined up and go?
It's definitely nice warming our tires up because then it'll be at peak race performance, but In a B main like this, obviously the drivers are super antsy because they only have 15 laps and 4 cars transfer. So if you're at the back of that field, you're wanting to go and get up there as quick as you can.
All right, now the pace car pulls off as we're ready to go here on our first segment on Home Track Heroes. They'll roll through 3. Tanner Bennett on the inside, the 2. Chad Bennett on the outside, the 52. They'll rock it down the front straightaway, and our race night is off and going. Nice early bite there for Bennett, which Bennett looks like the 52 of Chad, who's a veteran of racing around the Northwest. Meanwhile, we got 2 cars already deciding they want to go explore the grass out there in turn 1. We'll stay clean and green for the time being, and lap number 1 is in the books. Waiting for the ticker to roll up, and yes, that is the 52 of Chad Bennett out in front. So it's Bennett and Bennett, 1 and 2, and another car in the grass. We're having some I don't know, got some squirrely drivers early on in this one.
Off to a great start. Oh, and then we got another down on the back straightaway.
Nerves or just, I mean, these are B-main cars for a reason.
I mean, they're definitely trying their best to get up to the front, and, you know.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yep. So we have got, looks like another yellow light flashing around the racetrack as we have another car that's off in the boonies. This is yuck as far as getting a good start off and going, isn't it?
I'm surprised it took so long to go yellow. There were so many cars off in the beginning of that race.
Is it nerves? I mean, again, they're B-main cars, but there's plenty of capable drivers out there. You think they just need to settle down, get a couple laps under their belt?
I'm sure it's nerves, and I know there's a lot of beginning drivers out there, so they're still learning, and it takes some experience to
get through.
Yeah,
to
get
rhythm,
through.
Right? So that caution was the 4 car of Gabriel Guevara, and we're back to action. We got a couple of laps in. There's 13 to go. Chad Bennett out in front once again as he'll roll through, and there's a move up on the inside of the racetrack as I'm trying to spot the car. I think that's Bianchi, who's threatening the bottom on the 2 of Tanner Bennett. So Bianchi to third, and we got a car around. That's Gruchala in turn number 4, and we've got collision central coming through that corner. Caution flag is out, and I believe our crack staff here on Home Track Heroes is going to get us a couple of replays. That was a physical collision coming off that turn.
Yeah, and that's a hard wreck to miss, especially coming off of the corner like that, and we're going to see a replay right now.
All right, so through the turn, you can see one of them already trying to get off to the high side up in the grass, and around goes Gruchala. Here is from the cockpit now. Get a good look inside. Big thank you to Garrett Gruchala for helping provide the in-car look here, and wow!
That was a hard hit.
He got hard. So Gruchala around, and here's the look from turn number 3. Man, what a strike, what a collision here. So
yeah, and especially with the sun out like that, it's a hard wreck to see and hard to miss.
So you're coming into the corner, and you can see he's already counter-steering at that point in the turn. And at this point, hang on, right? Slow-mo and bang, right in the side. So Speedway officials are letting us know that the driver is okay. So good news there.
That's good news.
Yeah, we like to hear that. That's, you know, the point of any race car chassis. It's the final line of protection for the driver against an incident like that.
And we're super thankful for all the racing equipment that keeps us in the car tight and make sure we stay safe and don't get hurt in a wreck like that.
Well, we go back to track action now. This B-main has been a little brutal so far. Let's see if we can get some.
We're only 2 laps in, so.
2 laps in more than a few minutes. Right now, our minute-to-lap counter is significantly flawed. One more time for the Bennetts on the front row. They're 2x2 into the corner, and let's see if we can get some rhythm and clip some laps off as. Outside and inside, it's Chad Bennett and Tanner Bennett, 52 and 2. Bianchi in the 51 is sitting in the 3rd position. We've got a battle for 4th early. Looks like, I know Gruchala's out of the field, but I think you got Deacon Postal up there trying to get past. We'll watch and see as it sorts out. Davis Jacobson's the 15. He's working in the 3rd position at the moment. The 13 is for 4th, and that's Jeremiah Johnson, who currently has it over Bianchi. Bianchi pressuring on the inside, looking for room to come out of the corner, and there is some definite sunshine and glare that's shooting through there in 4 at this time of the day. That can be rough.
That is rough. It's hard to see and know where you are at the on the track, but hopefully these drivers have some. I don't know how it is in the Legends, but when I'm in the late model, it's definitely limited vision, and luckily they're spread out enough now that they can kind of get an idea of where they're at.
They have gotten mostly single file at this point in time. The 2 of Tanner Bennett is your car that's up in the lead with Chad Bennett in the second position. Now, you say that you haven't been in the seat of a late model, but you have spotted, or sorry, not been in the seat of one of these legends, but you have spotted for a legend before. So all these drivers, most of these drivers have spotters and mirrors. You are familiar with the communication that goes on in the cockpit. These drivers do know when somebody's underneath them, close to them, in and around them, right?
Yeah, there's definitely, it's easier to see in these cars since they're so small compared to a late model, where in a late model you have limited vision and a lot of blind spots. And I don't run a mirror in my car, but I know these legend drivers have some mirrors, so if somebody is underneath them, they can see that a little bit better as well.
Even if they're not paying attention to the radio at the time, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's guilty of that once in a blue moon. So the 2 of Tanner Bennett continuing to lead this as he's managed to stretch his advantage over Chad Bennett. Bennett got a little wide entering the second corner. Davis Jacobson is still third, and that is the look for fourth. Jeremiah Johnson in the 13. Antonio Bianchi is in the 51, and he has fallen back a little ways from where he originally started, in danger of losing that position. As to the inside, we've got car number 64. Driving that is Deacon Possel. Possel trying to rally his way back up the field. So 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th with Aaron Flett in the 98 all in the picture right now, and we got one off into the green grass and problems up at the front of the field. The 52 and the 15D. The 15D is David Jacobson, who was running into third. Let's see what happened. So here we go into the sunshine, and it was Chad Bennett in second and Davis Jacobson in third. Your 2 cars involved in the wreck, and they're going to go to the back of the pack and completely jumbles things back up. In the front, we're going to have new transfer position cars and some fast cars at the back of the field that they can keep going.
Yeah. And they're going to be all bunched up now, so with only a couple laps left, they're going to be all trying to get to the front. So we'll see what that brings.
So let's see what happens when we double file them up. Pace car is coming off, a chance for some of these drivers to really make a big run. You can see the 15 of Jacobson is already back to the outside of what looks to be row number 6, so he's not too far out of this. If he can make a move, we've got 6 to go. Down the front straightaway for a newly configured top 4 in this race. And again, 4 cars are moving on. Out front, Tanner Bennett in the 2. Move the 13 of Johnson into second. That'll be Posel in third. And Bianchi is fourth in the 51. And Bianchi's the guy in the rocking chair position right now. You go forward, you're good. You go backwards, and it's going to be big trouble for him. He'll peek to the inside of the 13 of Johnson as they come through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Gap between second and third long enough that right now Possel not in big trouble. Down to just 4 laps left. Your top 2 on a bit of a breakaway. They move into turn number 1. Down the back straightaway goes Bennett. Possel doing a good job of keeping with him here in the late stages. And we've got a race for that 4th and final transfer spot. Aaron Flett is working to the middle groove in the legend car with another coming up on his inside. Looking to take 5th away from him as they dive into the shadows. I want to say we've got to look at maybe the 10 of Thompson. And that's correct. It's Thompson whose car is that petty blue with red in it. Just flashing into the bottom of the screen. Really trying to lean his way around to the inside of the 3/8 mile track. So 1, 2 have got it. And there's the big move for third, Haley. Aggressive to the inside of turn 1, and he made the big pass for the transfer position.
Yep, and right now, with only 2 laps to go, they got to be moving and trying to get that final transfer spot so that they can make something happen in the A main later tonight.
Are you seeing the red 15 of Jacobson coming back through the pack? That's an aggressive move back up that he's made.
That is, with how many cars are in this B main, it's very impressive.
Do you think he's got enough time? We're taking the white flag already. Going to have to make the big hero move.
He's going to dive in there, yep.
Final set of corners, not much to be done. That'll do it. So give it away. It's going to be Tanner Bennett getting the win. Possel second. The 13 of Johnson third. As we'll go to break and more coming up next. Thank you guys so much for spending your Sunday evening with us here on Home Track Heroes in the CW11. I am Caleb Hart, the driver of the Joe's Racing Products number 78 late model. Kaylee Constance is here with us on color commentary, and we're going to move into a division that you know a little bit about. It's Youth Hornet time. The Interstate Batteries Youth Hornets about ready to hit the track.
Yep, I'm super excited for this one. I used to race Youth Hornets a couple years ago, so it's going to be exciting watching them again and giving my input.
Drivers are 12 to 14 years old now in the Youth Hornet division. The front row of this one is the 65 of Bryson Wingfield, sponsored by his papa, Tony Hill. Next to him, it's Evan Delfell in the Mazda of Everett, number 95. Row number 2, Tanner Bjornson, the Misfit Motorsport 01, and Olivia Reppin in the Snoqualmie Casino, number 44. Row number 3, Lila Mashburn, the Olympia Pizza, number 31, and Sawyer Holden in the LB Motorsports, number 32. And then Paisley Bender, starting 7th, the PRCBD number 18 car. This segment brought to you by APC Auto Spa. APC Auto Spa, a budget-friendly automotive detail shop in Monroe that focuses on high-end customer experience. They offer complimentary loaner cars for their services, including hand washes, interior and exterior details, paint correction, ceramic coatings, and paint protection film. APC Auto Spa in Monroe. Your car will thank you, as right away we got a little in-car from Tanner Bjornson, who's driving without gloves on. Very naughty. See, you take a look. What are you seeing from the cockpit of Bjornson's car here? Is he? Look at his hands. I'm watching his hands, right?
You can't really see. Oh, and as he gets almost turned around, nice save by Tanner. But in these Youth Hornet cars, you kind of have to drive them aggressively, and we have to remember these are just kids. But going into the corner, you see him kind of just throwing the car in and praying it sticks, I guess you could say. And you have to remember that it's a full invert. So the fastest car is starting at the back of the field, and now we see Paisley Bender working her way up.
Now remind me, you ran a JBR Hornet, right?
I did.
Maybe that exact car, or was it the other one?
This is a new car. I ran a different car that is no longer with us because it got wrecked. But
Oops. You get to blame your sister for that.
Yes, I do.
Excellent. So now we're going to go in cockpit with Lila Mashburn. And a little bit different from what you see out of Lila, although she's got that really bad sun glare coming through, but a lot more calm on her hands, at least entering the corners right now.
Yeah, and that could do with how she has the car set up or whatever, but I've learned that the harder you throw these cars around, the better it's going to be and the faster you're going to be. So
Really? You actually have to kind of like physically wrestle these cars around the racetrack a bit?
Yes, it's completely different than a late model because some of these cars are front-wheel drive,
right.
So I'm sure some of them could be rear wheel, but with these cars, you just throw them around and you're aggressive with the pedal, hard on, hard off, and that's how you're going to be fastest around the track.
Well, Bender's getting real fast next to Bjornson now. She's using that extra paved runoff area on the back that you didn't have back in the day, which allows you to carry a little more speed through the outside of the corner, and Paisley looks like she's doing a very good job of taking advantage of that. In fact, at the line, darn near thought she had it, although Bjornson held her off that last time around.
Yeah, and with that extra pavement, it's definitely easier to hold that outside line like she's doing, and she's carrying a lot of momentum, which is good, and with 23 or 22 laps to go now, she's got a lot of time to get around him, but on this 5th-mile track, since it's so tight and tight corners, it's hard to sneak underneath somebody, especially when they're carrying a speed like Tanner is.
We saw her on week number 1 try to make the bid to the outside, but it came a little bit too little too late. Bjornson on the inside held his groove, forced her to try to drive around, and she couldn't do it. This time she's starting that outside path many laps earlier, and there's probably a lot to be learned by running the outside early, isn't there?
Yeah, there definitely is. It's a little bit of a different technique than if you're on the inside, but she's making it work great as she gets pushed up the track a little bit. But another way is if she's running that outside groove and he sees her out there, then she can sneak underneath like she's doing right now.
Smart, because he had been washing very wide on 4 and taking her all the way to the front straightaway wall. We both caught that.
Yes, and that could be intentional. We never know. There are mirrors in those cars, so.
So describe the techniques for running the inside and the outside here on the Youth Hornet 5th mile. I'm assuming there's a lot more pedal involved depending on which portion of the track you're running, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but on the outside, you can hold the throttle down a little bit longer than when you're running on the inside. I never use brakes, but when you do dive into the inside, to keep the car from pushing in the center of the corner, you got to let off a little bit, where on the outside, you can just let it run a little bit more.
Okay, so a little more brake application, got to slow the car down more on the inside, whereas around the outside, keep your momentum up, keep your foot in it a little bit longer. Are you steering sharper, less sharp, more smooth, less smooth from the inside to the outside?
Less sharp on the outside, obviously, because it's longer around the track, it's wider. Oh, and a little door action right there as Paisley's trying to get around
She made
Tanner.
up a ton of groove in the center of that turn that time. She went full send mode. Good battle. Tanner Bjornsson, the 0-1. Paisley Bender in the 18, and this is the halfway mark of this race. Bjornsson taking her wide off the turn again, although not nearly as narrow up by the wall. And Bender's starting to nose ahead. Bjornsson fishtailed the back of the car around, and this might give Paisley what she needs to take the lead.
Yep, and with the laps being more limited, and great save by both of those drivers.
Brings the fans to their feet here along the front straightaway fence.
And that closing right Paisley has, she was a couple car lengths back and just immediately right back on his bumper.
So Paisley's got the faster car. Bjornsson's got the benefit of line, and now Paisley's starting to use that front bumper cover a bit.
Yep, the laps are starting to get limited, so she's trying to do everything she can to get around him, whether that's use her bumper, try to drive on the outside of him, but he's not making it easy for her.
Little shot right at the apex of the corner forces Bjornsson to get a little bit wider off the turn. Can he hang on to it through the middle? And you can see Bender really putting big pressure on Bjornsson. This time Bjornsson too wide into one and Bender right there to jump.
And a lot of the times when you have a driver up on your bumper like that, it applies a lot of pressure and you just have to wait for somebody to screw up like that.
The mental game, right?
It is, yes.
Well, Paisley is doing a heck of a job driving here. She's looking for her first win of the year. Bjornsson did a really good job of holding her off and using all the tricks up his sleeve to make that tough for a bit. We're going to go back. That's Sawyer Holden, who on week number 1 picked up a podium finish in the 32, and what ended up being a very good night for the Holden family is Mike Holden ended up winning the Legends main that night. So Sawyer got a podium. Mike ends up winning the feature, and back from there, that is 44 of Olivia Reppin. Reppin running around, I believe, in position number 4 at the moment, as we're down to just 8 laps to go here in this Youth Hornet A main event. In fact, Paisley is so fast she's catching the back of the field. She'll have lap traffic to deal with in a matter of, I don't know, a couple of corners maybe.
Yeah, she's got a lot of room behind her, so no pressure. Just waiting until that checkered flag.
We talked about it earlier. Mirrors in the Youth Hornets. Do they have spotters in these cars or no?
They do not have spotters. I think you're not allowed to have spotters actually, but they do have mirrors so you can see if there's somebody inside or outside of you.
So if you're in Paisley's position, get around Wingfield and then get real conservative, knowing you've got a lap car and some distance between yourself and Bjornsson?
Yeah, with how Paisley's driving, I'm sure she's just driving the wheels off of it, but with only 6 laps to go and she has a lot of room between her and second place, you can just kind of settle in, drive smooth, and have some patience till the finish.
There's a look at Bjornsson running in the second position, and there is Holden actually closing in on him in the late stages of this race. So Bjornsson in the 0-1, Holden in the 32, and they're down to a couple of car lengths left. Bjornsson taking a fairly flat entrance into 3 and not getting all the way down on the white line. You think that's hurting him a bit?
I think it might be. It almost looks like his car is a little tight off the center of the corner, which could be why he's taking that wide line coming off the corner, but it could also be why he was driving like that when Paisley was behind him.
So 4 laps to go, make it 3 laps to go, and it's hang-on mode for Tanner Bjornsson here, as Bjornsson trying to hang on to the second position with a rapidly closing Sawyer Holden, a car length back from him and peeking to the inside, going into turn number 3. They're down to 2 laps to go. It's all Bender out front. We're watching the battle for second between Bjornsson and Holden, as there is your leader. She's getting the 1 to go signal this time by.
And as you see with Tanner, as Sawyer starts getting closer behind him, his line starts to change so that, he starts to get lower towards the track so that somebody can't sneak underneath him.
Paisley Bender going to come around. She will take the win. Congratulations to Paisley. Runner-up on week 1 and a win on this one. And to the line for second, it will be Bjornsson ahead of Holden. We go down to our own personal Koopa Troopa, Derek Todoroff.
Second podium in 2 appearances. That's got to feel pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
Number 32 fought through the field throughout the race. You had that little pass with the 31. Walk us through that little move.
I just tried to run her down and chase Tanner, and yeah.
I'd say you did a pretty good job since you got by her. Who would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
I'd thank my mom and dad, Holden Development Group, my Nana and Papa, Weatherite Roofing, LB Motorsports, and Clearview Motor Crew.
Driver the number 32, third place tonight in the A main, Sawyer Holden. Now you were running pretty well in that race, that long battle with the number 18 of Paisley Bender. Talk about that.
It was pretty hard to try not to let her get around me, but she finally got around me after I got loose.
You've kept that 0-1 in tip-top shape. Gotta ask, does Tegan play a little bit of a role in that, giving you a little bit of guidance about the 1/5?
No.
All right. Who would you like to thank for your performance out there tonight?
Whiteside Steel, Stilly Auto Parts, Olympic Embroidery, my mom, my dad, my grandma, everyone else that came out here, and also my YouTube channel.
Driver the number 01, that's Tanner Bjornson, second place in the A main. All right, it's your turn. Walk us through that battle with Tanner.
It was really fun. I went around the outside, and it was a good battle.
And of course, you don't have to answer, but you are one of the few drivers in that division who manages to make the top line work consistently. What is the secret to that?
Like I said, going around the outside.
Who would you like to thank for your performance tonight?
Hold up. I'd like to thank our new sponsor, the Jack Stillwell family, Art by Nature, PRCBD, Wagley Creek, 2.5 Men Barbecue, Strideline Socks, my Uncle Wayne, JBR, Joe's Racing Products, Pro Alliance, Cox Wheels, Hammerhead Fabrications, and Bill Hunt.
Driver of the number 18, winner tonight, Paisley Bender.
Storming along here on a Sunday afternoon on Home Track Heroes in the CW11. Thank you so much for joining us. She is Haley Constance. I am Caleb Hart. We have already seen the INEX Legends B main event, and now it's time for the 30-lap A main event. Up the ante, up the money, and put some of the best drivers in the Northwest out in this field. This is going to be fun, Haley.
It should be exciting, and if it's anything like that B main we just watched, then we're in for a treat.
Interesting mix of talent coming in and through here as there's drivers from a lot of different disciplines that have ended up in the Legend division. Let's get you a look at the starting lineup. It is John Zaretsky on the pole, the former late model ace in the McMullen Construction number 51Z. Next to him, week 1 winner Mike Holden in the Weather Right Roofing number 30. Row number 2, former Deming Speedway Clay Cup champion Braden Wager in the Dirt Cheap Sewer number 30. And next to him, it's Chris Belanca, the Belanca Homes number 42. Row number 3, Phillips Law Firm sponsors the 33 of Kyle Lang. Outside him, it's the karting ace Gabe Sessler, Mr. Itch, in car number 66. Row number 4, Marissa Salwin, the Mr. Dizzy Motorsports number 1, and Rick McNeil in the Optimus Construction number 11. 5th row, TriMed sponsors the 37 of Mason Nelson, and starting 10th, Samantha Schwartz in the Sharps Transportation number 40. Row number 6 on the inside, the 4-time track champion, sponsored by Mazda of Everett, that's Chad Sinner. Next to him, the straight alignment number 09 of Cole Alton. Row number 7 is the 59 of Josh Warden and the 43 of Dylan Wolf. Row number 8 on the inside, Jeff Mueller in 2M. And next to him, Cody Graham in the 9, sponsored by Thorpe Fruit Stand. Behind them, Tanner Bennett in the 2, Deacon Possel in the Clean Crawl 64, Jeremiah Johnson in the 13, and Chris Thompson in the 10 in the Weather Right Roofing car. Your move-ups from the B feature. We have got 20 on the track, going 30 times around in the beautiful Speedway Chevrolet Pace car, the new Camaro. The lights are turning off. They're formed up and ready to go. A lot of recognizable names in this from a lot of different places, and we're going to go quad box to begin with. The race will be in the bottom right corner. Zaretsky, the pole sitter, on the upper left. Belanca is in the upper right. He's outside row 2. Wager inside row 2 on the bottom left. Let the chaos begin as we are green. I don't know what screen you're watching, Haley, but I am watching Zaretsky just nice and smooth through corner number 1 and setting the pace. That's a place that John really likes to be, is out front and dictating how the race goes.
Yeah, and then we got the awesome in-car view of Braden Wager, and we can see how he's working the wheel and how much wheel input it actually takes to drive these Legend cars.
It looks like he's got a lot of wheel input there as Wager right now rolling around, working the inside of the racetrack and trying to figure out his way in and through. Our in-car footage, by the way, big thank you to Brandy Hood Promotions for bringing that to us. Nice work, Brandy, as we have got a race. That's Belanca and Wager, and they're rolling for second at the moment. I'm sorry, they are rolling for the lead at the moment. As it is, looks like Wager, no, it's going to be Belanca who jumps out and grabs control of it. So Belanca leads, Wager is second, and Sessler settling in nicely to third as field starts to fan out, get settled in, and start putting some good laps together here.
Helping with just at the beginning of the race, all these drivers, you wonder if they're just trying to be smooth, if they're trying to make a rush to the front. If you're one of those back drivers, then you're trying to make your way up there as easy as possible.
Interesting battle that's going to occur from second, third, and fourth as you've got a lot of young talent there between Wager, Sessler, and Lang, who we've seen a ton here on Home Track Heroes over the years. He was in the catbird seat to take the feature win on opening night before it ran out of gas in that long marathon of a feature that we had. Trying to make up for it tonight. Meanwhile, Sessler, who had a late race lead himself, looking for a better result in the Matt Pioli owned number 66. Almost got a love tap there from Lang, but Sessler's trying to look for a way to get around Braden Wager in the 30 car. Meanwhile, door opens down low. Lang going to step through it.
And like you said before, there's a wide variety of these drivers. Like we see Braden Wagner came from quarter midgets, raced a little bit on the dirt, and then there's also some late model drivers a little bit farther back in the field.
Top four have broken away at the moment. Belanca is stretching away from Wager and trying to put a lot of distance between him and the rest of the pack. Wager in second, and Lang rapidly closing the gap on him. Kyle Lang looking strong in the third spot. Only 8 laps into this. Lang's got a lot of time. Going to be on Wager to drive defensively. And some drivers more comfortable driving defensively than others. Let's see what Wager's got in him as far as holding off Lang.
Yeah, and if you're Belanca right now, you're trying to gain as much as a gap as possible, seeing those fast drivers coming right behind you.
We've seen Belanca more than a few times here at Evergreen Speedway. He has a lot of speed. He's been up and contending. As we're going to look a little further back in the field, that's Rick McNeil in car number 11 and working to his outside. Mike Holden to the 30, who started outside road number 1. Not a great start for Mike. He's having to put on the boots and do some work out there to make his way back up this field. Back to the front we go. In third, Lang. Now with Sessler closing in on him. You wonder if Sessler's car is starting to come into him, or if he's starting to feel a little more rhythm here in the mid portion of the race after a rough early going that cost him a spot.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers are on brand new tires as they just got some new tires. And with the Legends, they take a couple laps to break in, so that could be something.
Is it break in or is it heat up? Do you know?
It's a little bit of both. Once they get some heat in the tires, they're going to run a little bit better, but I know some drivers have 300 lap tires on, so they're good for an extended amount of time.
Okay. Good to know on this one. Do you know, I mean, you've been up close and personal to these cars as we continue watching Belanca stretch over that big battle for second, third, and fourth. Does it feel like a particularly gummy tire? I'll get back to that. We got a car going around in the corner, and that's the 37 of Mason Nelson, who might surprisingly draw our race's first caution. You know, usually these are a little more yellow-laden. First one we've seen of this, and it got a few laps in before we did it.
Oh, and it looked like he just got in the back bumper of Sinner and then spin around in the middle of 3 and 4.
All right, so Mason Nelson's going to tag the back of the fact. Just said it out loud. These races usually are a little more stop, start, stop, start. It was nice to see him rip off 10-plus laps right at the beginning of this and get some rhythm going.
Yeah, it is, and we'll see if it stays like that or maybe towards the end of the race if they'll get a little more antsy and if we'll see more cautions to come.
Well, that caution bunches everybody up as we're back to 2x2, and they do have a choose cone that they usually go through, although they rapidly rolled through that. We're going to get back to A main action, where up front it's Belanca and Wager. You get the in-car from Wager. As they roll into turn number 1, this segment brought to you by Chain Lake Express Car Wash, for absolutely the best car wash ever. Treat your favorite ride to the brand new Chain Lake Express Wash in Monroe. Express Wash has multiple wash packages designed to meet your budget needs. Manage your Chain Lake Express Wash account easily on the go. Download the app from the App Store or Google Play today. It's a big restart for Kyle Lang. Holy cow, the 33 car. Look at him go.
Yeah, and when they bunch up like that, it gives drivers an opportunity to catch somebody who is maybe a little bit farther ahead of the field like Belanca was, and now he's to the inside of him. We'll see if he can make that work. As
got down, he hit that flat spot that you see some of those cars hit by going into one, but boy, it just almost planted that car and launched him through the corner. So Lang's going to take the lead from Belanca right at the halfway point. Belanca comes back and gives him a shot in the shorts, and now Belanca's got the inside line. He gets right down through there, and Lang's going to lose 2 spots. As there goes Wager, he might lose 3. Here comes Sessler looking to step up a spot.
We got those top 4 cars just completely broken away from the rest of the field, just trying to make it work and keep up with Blanca.
You've been in the position that Lang's in right now, where you're on the, you're in a line that you're not happy with, and you just get freight trained. That gets frustrating.
It is frustrating, especially when you have fast cars underneath you. It's hard to make the outside stick. But Kyle's going to try to sneak back under Sessler.
So we saw when he went down to make the pass that he hit that flat spot getting into turn number 1, and as small and as low to the ground as these cars are, you think there's any chance that that getting down and grounding the car out might have knocked some of the suspension out a little bit?
I'm sure it does, because there's a little dip going into 1 right there, but I've also seen, and in the late model felt, that there's some grip underneath that white line going into 1.
Now in the late model, you've got bigger suspension, bigger coil springs, bigger tires that you can kind of absorb some of that impact with, right? These cars, as low to the ground as they are, there isn't a whole lot of room to travel down and keep from really hurting something.
No, you're right. Yeah.
So we look a little bit further back in the pack as everybody chasing your top 4. Chris Belanca lost the lead for a lap, but got it back. Braden Wager, Gabe Sessler, aggressive and smart, following through and taking second and third. Kyle Lang in 4th, and he's lost a little touch with Sessler, who's trying to figure out the combination to get right up on the back of Wager in the 30, and Wager just a little wider going through 1 and 2, but he has a much better corner exit that pulls him away from Sessler down the back straightaway. Look further back in the pack. Car number 43 is Dylan Wolf that you see. 11 of Rick McNeil, one of 2 11s in the field. The all-green one is Chad Sinner. And then the car in between Wolf and McNeil here, that's 5th, 6th, and 7th, 09 of Cole Alton. So that was the battle that you were watching, albeit temporarily. So we're down to single-digit laps left here in the INEX Legends A main event. And still Chris Belanca out in front, hanging on to her. Lang has figured something out. He is back up to catching Sessler, who's Sessler now.
Oh, and he goes off the back stretch into the dirt, which is a big no-no in these cars.
Whoops.
Yep.
Well, Sessler going to take advantage and try to pull away a little bit down the front straightaway.
And Kyle's just right back up on his bumper. Lost a little bit of ground from that mistake, but we'll see if he can reel him in with these last 7 laps.
Now, knowing Gabe's personality type as a racer, he would much rather be on the attack than playing defense, right?
That is for sure, and he has someone to chase right now, so we'll see if he can catch up to Wager and pass him with these last couple laps.
And what's only his 3rd legend race all told for Sessler, looking awfully good in the Pioli 66. He's sitting in the 3rd position, trying to roll down Braden Wager, and Wager is just keeping close enough to Belanca that if Belanca makes a major error, he can be there, but this is Belanca's race to lose at this point. Everybody else chasing him. We'll flash back. This is for 5th. And to the inside, Alton trying to get inside Wolf. Wolf strung along the high groove. I'd say high groove, kind of the middle groove at this point in time in the race program. But through the middle he goes to the bottom. Goes Alton looking to take it away from him. Good side-by-side action. And the racetrack is probably in a point of transition right now. You notice the sun's gone down and we're dark out here around Evergreen Speedway. Changing track conditions are going to be something these drivers are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and especially with these long extended green laps, we haven't seen a ton of cautions this race.
You would think that as it cools, it gets grippier, right?
Yeah, it depends. I'm not really sure with the Legend cars, but I would assume it does get grippier, and car conditions can change, can get tighter, looser.
You're burning through fuel, which is going to take weight off the back end, makes the back end a little bit more loose, but then racetrack cools down, which gives your tire a little more grip. Almost think that in some ways that balances out.
Yeah.
So down to 2 to go, and make it 1 to go. Chris Belanca has looked great out here in front of this. Lost the lead, albeit for just 1 lap, but he's got a nice pad over Braden Wager. He's looking for a really nice finish, as is Sessler, as they steamroll through the final set of corners. An entertaining INEX Legends A main event goes to Chris Belanca, Braden Wager, and Gabe Sessler, 1 through 3. Kyle Lang, who had the lead, albeit for a blink of an eye, ends up 4th. We're going to get, a little bit of action there at the very end between Wolf and Alton. So we'll get a look at that. And as we get a look at that, we'll get ready to send things down to the podium, the Angel of the Winds Casino Resort podium. And
So Gabe, quick qualifier tonight with the inversion. You started in 6th. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get up to the front there before Chris and some of the quicker guys got there before you.
Yeah, it was tough to keep pace with the 30 car. They were super quick. I couldn't run down, so I don't know if they found some pace or we lost some pace, but it is what it is.
Is it kind of a thing where the thing was good when it was in the heat of the day, and when it kind of cooled off, it went a little bit sideways?
Yeah, I think we just missed the setup a little bit in the main. I think I probably should have tightened it up a little bit. Maybe would have had a little bit better drive off.
Well, best of luck for next time, and congratulations, strong third place run. And I'd like to thank any sponsors in the 66 though first.
Yeah, absolutely. Mazda of Everett, Matt Pioli, Anja Pioli, the Constance family, Joe's Racing Products.
Gabe Sessler's strong third place run to kick things off in the 66. Nicely done, Gabe. Braden, I know it had to be frustrating seeing Chris and all those guys so close, especially with that late race restart and not being able to do anything, but second place still has to be a strong run for you guys going forward.
Yeah, I felt pretty good throughout the heat race, and I thought I felt good, but we thought the track would tighten up a lot more than it did, and we adjusted a little bit too much.
I'd like to thank sponsors and supporters you got here for the 2023 season, Braden.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Francisca and Colin King, Dirt Cheap Sewers, Purcell, Pacific Street Rods, Central Welding Supply, and my mom and my dad.
Braden Wager's strong second place run tonight in the 30B. Nicely done, Braden. Chris getting up front with that early track position played dividends, but they threw in a few restarts, of course, just to switch things up and get everybody bunched back up behind you.
Yeah, I was hoping to go green as long as we could, you know. Once you start pulling away like that, you kind of use the tires up and you just hope no wrecks happen.
I know you and Kyle Lang had a great battle there for 1 or 2 laps to kind of crisscross each other. What was the game plan once he got in front of you?
Yeah, he kind of caught me off guard. I slid up on that coming out of turn 2, I think it was, and then just dove back under him and got it back.
Like to thank the sponsors in the 42?
Yeah, first I want to dedicate this win to my mother-in-law that passed away. This one's for you, Lori. She was a big fan. And, of course, my sponsors, Belenka Homes, CarStar Premier Collision, Stadium Thriftway, and the Blaylock family. And my wife, of course, for always supporting me, and my brother, who is always coming out, spotting for me, and it's nice to have him.
Chris Block, your main event winner tonight, car number 42. Nicely done, Chris.
So glad you've chosen to spend your Sunday night with us here on Home Track Heroes on the CW11. I'm Caleb Hart. She is Haley Constance. We have seen Youth Hornets. We have seen Legends. And now we're going to throw an entire monkey wrench into the works. And instead of just making left turns, we're going to make right turns too. It is time for the Monroe Grocery Outlet Superstock Figure 8s, Haley. The bigger of the 2 figure 8 divisions. And these guys are a ton of fun. They get after it out there.
It's super exciting. I've always wanted to race figure 8s, so getting to watch it is super awesome.
You know, I know a guy. I might know a guy who's got something to say about your racing career. I'll get him in the ribs a little bit. I'll make sure that
You should let him know.
I'll let that guy know. His name's on the door of my building. It's a thing. All right, your front row. Calvin Miller in the 49, the Northwest Poly Services of Marysville sponsored car. Next to him is Chuck Wittes in the Wittes Drywall 58. Second row is Mackenzie Dietz in the BECU 67, and Rick Jones in the Bushman Financial LLC General Contractor number 66. Third row, Metro Construction Corporation sponsors the 67 of Mike Steltz. That's the blue and black 67. And Mazda of Everett sponsors the Grizz, the 01 of Doug Delfell. Row number 4, Cowboy, John Carlson in the Mary's Towing number 5. Next to him, Sheridan Vincent, the white and orange number 43, sponsored by Siskin Power Equipment. Row behind them, Jeff Talbert in 72. He's sponsored by Pilchuck Heating. Next to him, the JE55, that spells Jess Wilkinson. Next row, 76, Chris Southard, and the 11 of Blaine Manning, the red car sponsored by Be Happy Carpet Cleaning. Then Robert Weldon, the all-ply roofing number 63, and the Battle Wagon, Steve Peters in the 36, and the Bill Fleischacker-owned Sound Stump Removal sponsored car. Back row is Bruce Wilson, Self MMI, sponsoring the 95, and RJ Mackey, the Monroe Co-op number 69, makes a 16-car, 30-lap field here for the Monroe Grocery Outlet Superstock Figure 8s. John Peterson gives them the one-to-go signal for big field of cars. Nice to see all these cars out here for the Superstocks.
It is great, especially because everybody loves to see when they're racing through the intersection. With this many cars, they're going to be catching lap traffic pretty quick.
It is the most dangerous intersection in the world. And you've been on I-5 a time or two. You know how frightening that can get. So let's see how they handle it. Mackenzie Dietz is going to be the in-car camera here in her BECU sponsor number 67. And again, shout out to Brandy Hood Promotions for the awesome in-car work. So let's get racing. Green flag is out. Mackenzie already sailing around, trying to take second away from Wittes. Wittes back to the inside on the 49 of Calvin Miller. Miller going to beat both of them into the North Pole. So North Pole, because there isn't really a turn 1, 2, 3, and 4 here in this. North Pole on that end, and this is the South Pole that your lead cars are coming into now, as it is Miller, Dietz, and Mike Stelz trying to roll his way forward, the opening week feature winner, and looks like he's got a nice line for third on the inside of Wittes. Now these cars, Haley, they race awfully physical. Every once in a while we'll talk about the late models beating and banging, but Rubbin is certainly racing in figure eights when it comes to the big cars.
There's nothing compared to figure eights when it comes to beating and banging, which is awesome to see as Mackenzie is putting some pressure on Calvin Miller, but he's in a good position right now out front. Just gets to run his line as they're starting to catch the tail of the field.
Calvin, a very talented racer, very good in a lot of different disciplines, as we'll see him run in figure eight, we'll see him in street stock, we'll see him in Stinger 8 at points in time. Basically, if it's got 4 wheels and he can fit a seat in it, Calvin will go drive it for you at this point in time. Right now, getting lots of pressure. Mackenzie Dietz looking good. The car she calls Scarlet, as we got one around at the back of the field. That's 69 of R.J. Mackey, or is it the 63 of Robert Weldon? Hard to see. That's Weldon 63. So he goes around, puts on a little bit of a smoke show around the corner, and well, he'll come to a rest. He'll have to tag up at the back of the field and get back out and join us once again. As like I said, physical racing early on here in the Superstock figure eights, but you wouldn't expect anything else. It's been this way forever.
It has been.
Since you were a little girl, in fact, when you were dreaming of being a figure eight racer that your dad won't let you do.
And that's the exciting part, because you get to see that beating and banging that you don't necessarily get to see with some of the other classes.
Well, as they come back to green flag action, let you know that this race brought to you by Coastal Community Bank, our segment here on Home Track Heroes. Coastal Community Bank are the community. It's our middle name. Our bankers take time to understand your business and help move it forward. Coastal Community Bank, an equal housing lender, member FDIC. Nice start from Miller. Stelz taking full advantage as he'll work to the inside of Dietz, out of the North Pole, and now Dietz gonna have to hold the inside line going into the South Pole as she's got the cowboy, John Carlson, trying to roll around in a many times over championship winning car, looking for third position. Out in front, Stelz looking awfully racing in basically a late model that runs as a Superstock figure eight. It's got the late model body on it, right up on the back of Miller, and you guys remember middle of the year last year, there was some fun between these two drivers as they start to get into the intersection. Miller and Stelz 1 and 2. We got a car facing the wrong direction. That's the 66 of Rick Jones. Jones pulls it in, safely tucked away, and Miller got away a little bit in the exchange. Also, new third place driver, Cowboy Carlson, gets to third in the 5. Whoa!
Tons of action right there in the middle of the intersection.
That came out of nowhere almost as some slow cars.
Wide.
Yeah, slow cars all of a sudden, middle of the intersection, and our leader's able to navigate it somehow, some way. Miller holding the top spot, Stelz chasing him. They're 1 and 2, and you can see how wide Miller went to try to get through. Had to get too far out of the gas to do it. Mike Stelz takes advantage, and you got a new leader.
It's hard when you're in the lead like that because you have to get through the intersection quick without hitting somebody, obviously.
Stelz takes full advantage. He's got the top spot over Miller now. Boy, those cars are really hard on the gas. You can see how much the back ends are just kicking loose coming out of the corners. They're real hard on the throttle. Meanwhile, we've got a car facing the wrong way. That's Chris Southard in the 76. So Southard, we're going to get a second look. Oh, we're not going to get a second look. So Southard goes around. Lots of beating and banging, a couple of spinouts already. Big move, though, by Stelz to get past and take advantage of the mistake that happened with Miller.
Yeah, now this is going to allow the drivers to bunch back up if it's restart.
You're going to see him nose to tail, exactly, coming through the corner. And again, they are not afraid to be physical. So on the inside on this Delaware-style restart, that's the 5 of Cowboy Carlson. On the outside of him, it's the 49 of Miller. Opening week, it was Stelz and then Cowboy running 1 and 2. We'll see how this ends up shaking out as they come through the South Pole. Right now, Stelz holds the advantage. Miller doing his best to hold off Carlson, but Carlson with the preferred line coming in through the north, and we got a new second-place driver.
And there's Mackenzie Dietz right on the bumper of Miller, trying to get back around him.
So see if Mackenzie can work her way into a top 3 as the field tucked in behind him. With a big field like this, the intersection happens earlier and happens often in our Monroe Grocery Outlet Superstock figure 8s. So now the in car from Carlson, as you're going to watch him, trail Stelz around. You can see kind of out of the right-hand side that nothing's coming through the intersection, so he can just go full gas through it. Now as you look in through the left, and still in good shape for Cowboy as he chases Stelz. And Stelz got a little wide at the corner. Inside opens up. Can he close her down? He can, just barely. Now get to the bottom of the South Pole. He got it closed down enough. We're into the corner, and Wittes into the back of Vincent in the 43. So Vincent spun around, and caution flag out. As you can see, our corner worker flying the flag hard in the air, hard on the gas. I don't think Vincent's all that happy at the moment. And let's get another look at it. So let's see what Sheridan Vincent just experienced as the replay machine kicks up and going. Wittes into the corner. Whoops. Thump right into the corner panel of the Vincent car, in and around. And Vincent had a pretty good run going. He'll have to restart it again as you get a look from the Steve Peters car. We're back with more. It's the Superstock Figure 8A main event here on Home Track Heroes on the CW11. Well, the temperature in the room is coming up, and the tempers on racetrack are starting to get there as our Monroe Grocery Outlet Superstock Figure 8A main event often going here on Home Track Heroes. Haley Constance, Caleb Hart, and Haley, they are racing all kinds of physical, even for the Figure 8s early on in this main event.
Yes, they are, and we've seen a lot of interesting happen so far, and 18 laps to go.
It's a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
For a lot to go down. Mike Stelz, he's got an awfully fast hot rod out in front of the field. We'll bring him back to green as side-by-side for the second position. Cowboy Carlson, John Carlson in the 5, and he's going to have the spot as Calvin Miller washing back a little bit. That's giving Dietz a chance to threaten, although Mackenzie hates being around the outside of these turns. Let's see how she ends up playing it going to the South Pole. If she can make a run to the inside of Calvin, looks like Calvin got down and got the door closed.
We've seen an awesome battle between those two this entire race, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
She would thank her Rapid Welding and rail bumpers that she got in that car, keeping it awfully strong. There was some contact between the two, but gentlemanly and gentlewomanly racers are Calvin and Mackenzie. They let each other drive away after making contact. Up front, battle is really tight. Carlson is within a car length of Stelz all the way around this racetrack in completely dry conditions, showing off and seeing what they can do. And with a little bit of attrition, they're not into the back of the field as far as the intersection goes that quickly. However, it's going to come sooner rather than later, and you know this action's going to get even hotter. Look at Carlson diving underneath the Ute tire as they swerve to avoid Southard, who was having some problems. Meanwhile, for third, as you see Miller, Dietz, and then look at the Southard car, who's a bit slow at the moment. Getting through it. Boy, Miller really taking the South Pole awfully wide. It's almost like he's got a bit of a push in mid-corner.
Yeah, but as we can see, he's starting to build a little bit of a gap for himself. It's really good to be able to catch the first and second cars who have built quite a big gap for themselves.
So take a look at his hands in the cockpit there, Haley. He's putting a lot of counter steer into that car right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely driving it in a lot harder than we see a lot of the others driving it in right now, which is kind of how you have to drive these cars.
Around the corner, and there's that. I don't want to say it almost looks like he's got a trail of smoke coming out of the back of it, but I wonder if he's abusing the rear tires coming through that corner, because I can almost just see a little faint white cloud, similar to the kind of white cloud we saw on our DriftCon show last week. Him just really working those tires hard through the corner. Meanwhile, you watch Stelz and you watch Carlson, smooth, easy, cars underneath them the whole way and fast. You can see how much differently Miller's having to drive it as we got a bid for the lead through the middle of the turn. Big move, Cowboy Carlson, and he's got the spot over Stelz. Stelz coming back to the inside. got the benefit of the slower car. I think that was Delfell. And now Stelt's back to the top spot. So the lead changed hands for the blink of an eye. Carlson couldn't keep it. Steltz officially leads the lap again. Boy, John almost had that top spot. It was that close.
We're starting to see they're catching those cars that are going through the middle of the intersection, so that will play a role as it comes farther through the race.
Once again to Southard, who's just fighting the handle on the 76. There's Carlson right on the back of Steltz, and Steltz trying to navigate the intersection as we've got Wittes spinning to the inside. I mean, there is just cars all over the place. If they're not in the intersection, they're tucked in or having some problems. Your leaders having to work through this as we're into the single digits now. 7 more times around for Mike Steltz. John Carlson, little contact that time. Coming off the corner, Carlson right in on him as they roll through the South Pole. And yeah, you're right, Haley. The intersection's about to get a little more interesting as slow traffic ahead of them. Slow traffic to the intersection. I would not want to be the lead 2 right now. They'll work their way into the South Pole once again. Steltz swims the car through the middle of that turn. Coming up on the slower traffic in the, I believe, 06. Maybe that's the 95 of Bruce Wilson. Hard to tell on the number from where I sit at the moment. It is Wilson's 95. Carlson trying to take advantage. Still doesn't have the spot on Mike as we're 5 laps to go and getting even shorter through the intersection. Carlson set the car, thought about trying to roll up to the high side here as Calvin Miller, our 3rd place car. Yeah, there is definitely smoke coming out from under that car. And they might be some tire smoke. That might be coming out of the rear end.
It could be. As we see, he's lost quite a bit of ground.
So you watch it. No, we got a car around. It's Wilson who gets the wrong end of it there as Miller went by. Meanwhile, Carlson trying to nose to the inside here in the South Pole. You saw him arc the car wide coming off the North Pole. Nothing doing there. Steltz, good job not panicking. Turns him away. Wilson gets the car fired up. He's back in the intersection as we're down to 2 to go in front of this field. 2 laps left for Mike Steltz. Miller in heavy slower traffic, trying to wedge his way through. Gets wide, and here comes Dietz. Right place, right time for McKenzie, and I think Calvin might have broke. He slows, he's pulling off. So Dietz gets 3rd at the very last second, white flag out. One more pass through in this entertaining Superstock Figure 8 main event. One more try for John as he comes through the south. If the intersection behaves, Mike might have it. He does. Big bomb to the inside. 2 bumps, no dump, and your winner, Mike Steltz, here in the Superstock Figure 8s. Cowboy Carlson 2nd, give 3rd to Mackenzie Dietz in an entertaining Figure 8 main event. And let's go down to Little Diddy Kong. It is Derek Todoroff.
Now, you went back and forth with Calvin Miller for a long time. How were you 2 doing back there?
Oh man, he's so much fun to race against, and it's just a lot of fun. There was a lot of gear oil that was coming out from under his car, and so I was just trying to hold on and not dump myself or him.
You drove that 67 to a 3rd place finish. How are you feeling after that?
I'm feeling good. This car has been amazing. It's brand new this year, so a huge shout out to my boyfriend Jake Reppin. He really worked really hard to get this car ready to go, so I'm very happy.
Who else would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
I'd like to thank Reppin Welding and Rail, 2 Girls and a Leaf. I'm forgetting people. It's been a while. Buzzin' Steakhouse. Ghostum Delta Cams. We'll make sure to get some champagne for you, John. And just my crew. Without them, this would not be possible.
Driver the 67, Mackenzie Dietz, 3rd place tonight. All right, Cowboy, you are normally a driver in our Outlaw division. What's the difference between how the 2 cars handle, the Superstock versus the Outlaw?
There's actually quite a lot. We've got way different shocks than they have, but when it comes down to the cars, there's not a whole lot difference between them other than the chassis. The Outlaw guys, there's a lot of guys, we got a lot of seat time. We're racing hard with each other. We know how to race. The stock Figure 8, There's a lot of guys that don't have that much experience, don't have a lot of seat time, so it takes a little bit more. Got to give them a little bit more leeway to get around them, and it takes a little bit more. It's a little harder.
So then question number 2 is, which one's better?
Hey, it's racing and figure eight, and they're both a blast, and I'm not going to say either one's better because they both rock.
I think that's the only correct answer. Who would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
The people, well, I'm going to start with Dave Brandenburg. He's the one that built the car. The new owner's Mary from Mary Towing. Chris, he brings the car out. Quentin and Dave for letting me drive the car because Quentin's got some surgeries, some issues that he's going through, so they asked me to drive the car for him this year. And so that's pretty much, it's up to those guys, and I help out when I can.
Driver of the number 5, second place tonight, the Cowboy, John Carlson. All righty, Mike, you have had just such great runs with that new stock figure 8 car, made it work super well. What is the secret to that machine?
No secret. It's the same as every one of them out there, but it's just got a body, full body on it. We did a lot of work with Aero, with precision traction management, and Augie. Got a little more speed out of it today, and it's just a fast car.
And you were running with the Cowboy in your rearview mirror. What is that like, having someone like that right behind you?
I had Augie in my ear telling me to keep my lane tight and close it up a little bit because he kept trying to get under me in the south turn there, and I knew that was his favorite spot, so I just closed it up a little bit. And if I hit my marks, I was all right, and I went a little wide over here in the north turn, you know, and that's where Cowboy got under me, so I just had to drive harder.
Who else would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
I can never thank Dan Rena at Metro Construction Corporation enough. We just blew our motor doing my stupid burnout when I won last time. We put a new 604 in that thing from Rick Hubbard and the Hubbard family. That was great for them to help me out. Sound stump removal, Brian, he helps out a lot. And Wiggins Custom Fiberglass. We got AMS Oil, Pacific Northwest Synthetics out of Kent. Yeah, just all my guys, man. We worked on that thing for the last 3 weeks, and you know, without their help, man, it's a good team effort, you know, and I appreciate every one of my guys.
Driver of the 67S, that's Mike Stelz, winner of the stock figure 8.
Well, you know, Mike said that his goal is to win every main event this year, so we're going to have to teach him how to get into the middle of the podium if he's going to do that for the rest of the year. Just saying, Mike, middle of the podium, it's a good thing. Well, as much fun as that was, let's move forward. We got more fun coming up. We're going to move back to the 3/8, left-hand turns only for the rest of the show, as it is time for our Tire Pros Street Stocks coming out and onto the raceway. And good field of cars. They're going to go 30 times around. Let's tell you who is all involved in this main event. Chevy Vincent. We just saw Sheridan Vincent, the dad out there. This is the kid in the 43, sponsored by Siskin Power Equipment. Next to him, it's Austin Camp, the ad taxi, number 69. Row number 2, it's Kenny Erickson in the 22. He's sponsored by AFC Forestry. Next to him, Travis Bliven, the Premier Painting Company, LLC, number 27 car. Third row inside, Mike Shimmick in the Big Block Brewing, number 7, and Jeff Watson, the SCE, Snohomish County Trucking and Excavating, number 51. Row number 4, Gene Watson, his brothers on the inside, also sponsored by SCE, Snohomish County Trucking and Excavating in the 28. Steve Potasic, the Lang Autosports number 06, starts in the 8th spot. In the 9th and 10th position, your defending track champion 2 times over, Mark Hubbard in the Truly Hard Seltzer number 41. And Jesse Jensen out there in the Tire Pro sponsor number 3, starts 10th. 11th, Adam Manis, Sound Remodel and Construction sponsors 75. And the 44 of Mike Marthaler, sponsored by Direct Carpet Cleaning and House Cleaning. Final row, Jim Fody, car number 85, and Brent Rohr in the 15, sponsored by Harding Motorsports. 14 cars, 30 laps, and this segment brought to you by Max Power Law. That's right, when you've been in an accident that's not your fault, Max Power Law is your back. One call, that's all. 844-CALL-MAX. Call 884-CALL-MAX today, a proud sponsor of Evergreen Speedway. So this ought to be a lot of fun. These guys have had to run in the rain. There has been all kinds of, smack talked over the winter. And now they get to prove it on the racetrack here for 30 laps in and around as our street stock division, one of the highlights of Evergreen Speedway. I love seeing these cars out there. You know, it's the step before you make the step into the late model for a lot of the guys.
Yeah, I completely agree. And This is why Evergreen Speedway is so amazing, is we've seen a bunch of different categories of race cars tonight, and this should be an interesting main event.
Now, you're watching here with us on Home Track Heroes, but I want to remind you that there's nothing like being in the grandstands and experiencing it for yourself. I know you don't get to race fan a whole heck of a lot, but there's just something about the smell and the sound all combined, right?
And even the community, being there with other people, getting to cheer on your favorite drivers, it's just an overall incredible experience.
Well, field continues to pace around as the Speedway Chevrolet pace car out there. We've said it's a beautiful brand new Camaro. A lot of Camaros racing in this field, as for many years the Camaro was the car of choice, and still kind of is when it comes to V8 non-late model racing. So you're going to see a lot of Camaro and Camaro adjacent looking stuff out there. Out in front, Vincent in the 43, and right next to him the 69 of Austin Camp, both of them looking for some street stock glory. Second row, the 22 of Erickson, and a beautiful looking, easy to see. I think it's even got powder-coated blue wheels on that 22. You catching that?
I see that.
That's nice. Who do we got to convince to powder coat your wheels purple? The guy who pays for it?
The guy who pays for it.
All right, we'll work on that. Here they roll off the fourth corner. Green flag is out. 30 laps for the A main event here for the Tire Pros Street Stocks. A big thanks to Tire Pros for coming on board as our title sponsor of the Street Stock division. Into one they go, and we have got synchronized Street Stock spinning in and behind them, and we got cars destroying each other. Uh-oh. 75 of Adam Manis into the back of what looked like the 28 of Watson, and let's see what happens. Watson around, Manis clunk, and tears off the rear bumper cover, so not necessarily destroyed. And watching what's coming through here, you can see a stripe of liquid coming off the right rear of the Shimmick car as Watson gets into him. We'll diagnose more of it as we come back from this break here on Home Track Heroes. You're back here with us on Home Track Heroes on the CW11. I am Caleb Hart. She is Haley Constance. And already, new race car parts for everybody. We didn't even get a lap complete in the Tire Pro Street Stocks main event.
It seems to be a common theme of tonight's races. We've seen a lot of red cars.
New parts for everybody. I know a guy. Let's go back to the action here on the track as they'll double up 2x2 this time with at least one, possibly two less race cars. Field looks a wee bit slimmer, but we are going back to green flag action with the 43 of Chevy Vincent leading him down. And on the outside of the front row, it's the 69 of Austin Camp once again into corner number one. Nose to tail, a lot of noses being used on a lot of tails through that first corner. They'll settle into turn number three. That's Bliven in the 27, and the commentator's curse jumps out, and all kinds of smoke coming off the tires. He might have gotten a little help, and meanwhile, we've got cars up into the tires. It's, mass catastrophe going on. Let's see it all again on replay. Why not? So the Crack Home Track Heroes staff will give us a look. We're into the corner. That's Erickson in the 22. A love tap to the back of Bliven. Bliven doesn't think it was necessarily so lovely. Everybody scatters. One or two cars take a run into the green grass. And let's look at it from Jeff Watson's perspective. So into the corner we go. You can see the contact. Watson sneaks by on the inside. Now Jesse Jensen. And Jensen. Ooh, whoa, Jesse. That got tight.
Barely missed it.
Somewhere, Dirk Kruzwick's heart rate just went up 50 points. From Gene Watson's perspective, and hello, tire. Thump.
Oh, no.
We'll send him the bill. That'll be fun. I mean, they're just tires. Thanks to Tire Pros, we got plenty of them to put out and around the racetrack. So, I mean, we still haven't even got a full lap in here on this, Haley. And we've got, 6 different cars that have made contact with each other?
It seems to be that way.
So settle in, strap in. This might be a real good segment to kick up the legs on the recliner and relax, because our third try at getting this up and underway starts right now with the same front row, who have done pretty okay so far, of Vincent and Camp down the front straightaway. Please let the third time be the charm. Green flag.
Chevy Vincent got a way better start this time around, and we got another one around.
Oops. Well, the
and
third
I believe
time.
that's
It's 51. That's going to be the other Watson. That's Jeff Watson this time.
a tire.
Down on the. Ooh, yeah.
coming
Well,
out of 2.
hey, you know what? I know we've got in-car from him, so maybe we're going to get lucky enough to see it. Oh, wow, yeah. And then I think that was Patasic in the 06 who was driving around the outside. Second look at it. And bye-bye. Parts going everywhere. Oops. So from Jesse Jensen's perspective, as he nerfs the back of Hubbard, who was trying to avoid everything.
We've seen a lot of people being in the wrong place in the wrong time. So we've seen Jesse miss a couple of those wrecks being in the back of the field.
Ooh. And Jeff got around, and yeah, he got some help in the process of doing it, but parts strewn everywhere on the racetrack again, and it'll be a 4th try with, I think, now 9 to 10 cars having all made contact of our 14-car field.
I believe so.
It makes you happy you don't have a street stock right now.
Yes, it does.
Well, we'll push forward. It'll get better. It'll get better. Let's watch and see as, we're going to single file start this, I think. It's either that or we haven't doubled them yet, one way or the other. So around the corner we go, and here comes Chevy Vincent trying to get this race started. Down the front straightaway. We'll do it single file this time if they can't behave. And we're off and running.
Great start for Chevy, yes.
So that's Camp in the 69. Are you looking at Patasic's 06? That's got the 2 different color schemes on it.
Yes,
So
it's very cool.
Yeah, Patasic, the neon yellow down the left, and then the neon orange.
He's going to make it work on the outside.
He led a huge amount of the race on week number 1 during the wet weather, and Chevy pushed. Man, that was a bad push. That's going to cost him the lead. Camp going to the inside. Patasic got caught up behind him.
Seems Patasic's nose is coming off a little bit, as you see there.
Okay, so down the front straight, we'll keep our eye on the 06 and watch the body work on the front of that. Huge for his aero, and especially as he's getting into the corner if he's got some nose damage. Meanwhile, out front, Camp leads, and that's Jensen moving underneath Hubbard in what's turned into one of Evergreen Speedway's really good rivalries over the past couple of years. He'll take position number 2. Now, we know Hubbard is very proficient at driving around from the outside. It looks like Jensen's going to have a free pass to move his way into the front as Camp went skittering through. Got sideways. Patasic follows his way all the way into second. Hubbard sticks third. It's Camp, the big loser in that exchange. They're still racing physical in behind them as you just watch the 27 of Bliven put a door in and make his way through. But out front, Jesse Jensen going to be your leader in car number 3, Patasic 2, and Hubbard 3.
As we see, Jesse Jensen's off to a big lead, and mind you, he started pretty far back in the field, and with only 5 laps in, he's got a pretty good lead ahead of him.
Jesse's a good front runner out in front of this. He's led enough races around Evergreen Speedway that he knows what he wants to do when he gets out in front pacing, and that's a brand new power plant in the 3-car as well. As after week number 1, unfortunately, they had to go to a different motor, and right now it looks like it is screaming, making lots of HP, and getting that HP down to the ground to where they can use it. Patasic in second with 24, making 23 laps to go, and Hubbard still hanging in the 3rd spot, trying to find his way around. They'll work down the back straightaway as you get a look at your leader, finally getting some cool, calm, and collected laps in here. And for second, Patasic opens it up wide. There's Hubbard barreling in on the inside. So once again, we look at Jensen down the back straightaway, looking to lap Kenny Erickson. He'll put him a lap down as he continues to just set a nice pace. We're 9 laps into it, and you got to know that the guys on the radio are going, Jesse, you're cruising right now. Clear all around, relax, and hammer down, buddy.
Yep, he's got to have some patience. He's going to be catching lap traffic pretty quickly at the pace he's going, and thankfully we've got some clean laps so all the drivers can kind of settle in, and if you're in that 2nd place position, you're going to be hustling to catch Jesse Jensen.
Okay, so if you're in Patasic's position, you've seen you got a car that's got at least enough speed to get to 2nd right now, but the leader is absolutely just cruising on you right now. Are you full floor, okay, I got to run him down ASAP, or are you going to wait a little bit longer?
With only 19 laps now to go, I would be trying my best to catch him. With the pace he's going, you're going to have to drive as hard as you can to try to get a little bit closer and hope for a yellow.
Dasick doing a good job of distancing himself from Hubbard in the third position. Mark Hubbard in the 41, 6 car lengths back and fading, it looks like, at this point in time of the race. Now, the street stocks, if I remember right, are on the same tire that you guys are running in the late models. Is there a sweet spot on that tire in terms of tire life and when it really kicks into play and is running good?
I think it definitely depends on the set of tires you get. We've had a lot of different experiences with tires, but I believe the first 50 laps are always going to be your best, but with late models we run a lot more laps than the street stocks do. But as those tires start to get hot and more grippy, then you're at your peak performance, and then they start to fall off a little bit after that.
Okay, so given a 30-lap sprint like what we have here in the street stocks, there's absolutely no reason to save. You should just go the whole time.
Yes, if I were in Steve Potasick's position, I would be putting my absolute all into the car and not really worried about tires.
And the bad news for Potasick right now is at the halfway point of this race, if he truly is going, Jesse Jensen is just waxing them. As you see, he has got a full straightaway lead on Potasick, and Potasick, just from that little bit that we glimpsed of him coming off of turn number 4, has actually done a good job of distancing himself from Hubbard. So this field spreading out something serious already here during this main event is, easy mode for Jesse.
And at this point in the race, Potasick is going to be having to go significantly faster each lap than Jesse to even get to his bumper. So the best he can do is hope for a yellow and bring them back together.
I mean, here on the 3/8, and given what you know about lap times, right, that gap is a multiple second gap. That's a 4 or 5 second gap that he's built up right now. You're at the point with 12 to go that he needs caution. He needs a caution or a big enough blunder on Jensen's part, maybe amongst lap traffic, that something happens. Meanwhile, here is Camp at the 69. That's your 4th place car. And 5th's the 15 of Roar from the back of the field, and we do have that caution we were looking for. Mike Shimmick in the 7 car is off in turn 1 and turn 2. Does a little agricultural racing, kicks up the grass, and boy, talk about exactly what Steve Potasick needed right there. There's the caution flag that you're hoping for. Now you got to hope that you've got the magic combination in terms of car and the move you're looking for to get around Jesse on this restart.
Yeah, you have the opportunity now that you're just going to have to drive the wheels off and try to get around Jesse as soon as possible with the pace he's been going.
Well, let's see if Potasick can find the right combination of numbers, kind of like Washington's lottery. Created in 1982, the Washington Lottery was established to generate revenues for state programs through the sale of lottery products. Powerball, Mega Millions, Lotto Hit 5, Match 4, and Daily Keno. Washington and Lotto scratch games give players a choice of more than 30 games a year to experience Washington's lottery. Dream big. Potasick rolled the dice, and it's at least close through 3 and 4, making a big run coming up on him, coming off the 4th corner. Steve Potasick not done competing yet. Into 1 they go. Jensen hasn't gotten away, although Potasick looks a little snug coming off the corner, and there's a lot of drive in the 3 car that's helping him get through this field. So Jensen opening it back up. Potasick scrambling, almost putting the right side door up against the wall down the front straightaway. Hubbard, a distant 3rd. 4th, 5th, and 6th in Camp, and Marthaler stacked up behind trying to come through. Nice run, Mike Marthaler. He actually has a look to the inside of Camp coming off the corner. You can see the pass for 4th, right just on the edge of your picture. Mike Marthaler's got it, and he's on the outside looking in on a podium, but car getting stronger as this race gets longer.
And Jesse has built a nice gap between him and Potasick, and as we see Mike Marthaler into that 3rd position, we wonder if he'll be able to catch him as he's starting to go back a little bit.
So field spreading out from 1 and 2, just outside of the screen. What we were talking about is that race for 3rd between Mark Hubbard in 41 and Mike Marthaler in 44. Now we're going to get a look at it. Hubbard's got the powder blue, white with red number car. Marthaler the white, blue, and black number 44 chasing him. And boy, Hubbard can't get that car down in 1 and 2, and that might be the death knell here as Marthaler really snug to the inside of the 1st corner. See if he can make the move. It's not coming here through 3 and 4, but he's set up really well entering turn 1.
Yeah, and Marthaler starting in the 12th position, already up to 4th and about to make a pass for 3rd as he completes that going through 1 and 2.
You're looking at Hubbard's car there. Are you seeing the same thing that I am? Just too tight getting into that corner, not able to get that car down to block the lane?
Yeah, too tight all around, and the tough part with that is you can only use the car to its best potential at this point.
Yeah, it's not going to significantly change in the last 5 laps, right? So, guy who's got the car humming at its top, that is Jesse Jensen in the 3, looking for his first main event win of the year. Jensen out front. He's got the lead. This one's, it hasn't been close. From the time he got to the front, I mean, it's just been the Jesse Jensen show. Which, that's going to be good for the crew. They had to thrash over the couple of weeks to get the new motor in, and that rewards all the guys. I mean, as much as you want to win for yourself, it's really nice to reward all those people that work on your crew and help get that thing during this long race day and the weeks that come in between it. Reward them for everything they put into it.
Exactly, and it's just an absolutely beautiful car. There's a lot of nice equipment on it, so the crew works super hard to get it out on the track every weekend, so it is super rewarding, as you were saying.
You almost feel as good for the crew guys that have put in the labor on it when you end up putting that good result together, too, because, most of those guys volunteer on these things, right?
Yeah, and as a driver, it's a lot of pressure, not only to do good and be out on the track, but you want to do good for your crew because they put in so much effort, and a lot of the times they are just volunteer.
Well, this team is a well-oiled machine, and they sure showed it here in the second Street Stock main event of the year. Tire Pro Street Stock main event goes to the Tire Pro sponsored car. Jesse Jensen dominates the A main event. Steve Potasic is going to take second. Good run, Mike Marthaler in taking third. And down we go to the Beatbox boy, Derek Todoroff, with your interview.
All right, well, you had a good run today. Drove through the field, had those great battles with Bliven and Shimmick and a couple of the others back there. Come home in third place. How are you feeling?
Well, that race was all over the place, especially at the beginning. I've never been a part of a race where at the beginning they make you go single file after enough restarts. There was a lot of tore up cars, and that kind of sucks us early in the season. But it was a pretty good race car for me. Started off a little tight, but as the race went on, it came together.
Who would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Canon Avionics, Direct Carpet Cleaning, Finish Line Heating and Air Conditioning, Red Strand Salon, Squires Machine, and my wife Kelsey, and my whole crew.
Driver of the 44, Mike Marthaler, third place tonight. Driver of the 06, Steve Potasic, comes home in the second place spot tonight. Good run out there. I think we're going to focus on the actual car today. Why is it two different colors on different sides?
The neon yellow on my side is for me. The other one's for Kevin. We share the car together, and that was his colors, so that's that story.
Driver of the 06, you have put together quite a few good seasons in the past. What's the secret to turning this one into another championship caliber season?
Well, I'm still figuring it out. Today, the car was fighting it all day, super, super tight. So we changed everything, and then it was tight loose, and I fought it and fought it and fought it. Hopefully we can figure it out.
Who would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
Today, I think Kevin and Connor. Without them, I would have probably drove around in the back.
Driver of the 06, Steve Potasic, second place tonight in the street stocks. That 3 is a sharp-looking machine, and it is fast. Once again, you wheeled it around this track to a few wins last season. Looking for more this year. What makes it the car that it is?
I don't know. We work hard on it, and I've been fortunate enough to do this for a lot of years and gain experience and work with a lot of good guys that have just taught me a lot in racing, and just put it to good use and have some fun out there.
As a longtime driver, what is the street stock division like for those who have never really experienced it?
Tonight, it was pretty chaotic. That was nuts. The first few restarts were pretty insane. Sitting inside the car, it was just like cars for the whole first lap every time, just cars going everywhere. high, low, 3 wide. It was nuts. But luckily we made it through it with just a few scratches. Got to the front and kind of just were able to cruise and made it to the checkered flag.
And who would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
Oh man, a lot of people. Kristen and Dirk Cruiswick for letting me drive their car. Rob, Jeff, everybody that helps work on the thing. Tire Pros for coming on board this year, help us out a ton, letting us run all the races this year. It's really cool. We weren't planning on running here all year, and they came on board and stepped up, helped us out so we can make all the races and do it the right way. Yeah, it's just really appreciative of everybody that helps out and works on the thing.
Driver of the number 3 race winner tonight, Jesse Jensen.
Well, we have made it to the final segment of Home Track Heroes on the CW11. Glad you guys have made the whole way with us, because now gets really fun. The biggest boys, the baddest toys. It is time for the Granite Super Sprints. Haley Constance, you have been looking forward to this since the second you were like, okay, I get to do color commentary tonight, right?
I definitely love watching the sprint cars, and you know what they say the best for last, and that's probably what we're going to be seeing.
Well, let's give them 30 times around our 3/8 mile track, and let's pack, I don't know, we had 16 of them sign in, so let's pack 14 of them out. There's a couple didn't make it their way through the day, unfortunately, but this is a really, really talented field, and I'm excited to see how this all goes down. Your lineup looks like this. Greg Middendorf's got the pole. It's the Middendorf Motorsports number 4 car. Next to him, Randy Dubois and the Geico sponsor number 70. He is your defending track champion. Row number 2 is Jay Dishnew, the First Line Systems Inc. number 9. Next to him, off the island, it's Brad Allman and the Upland Contracting at number 8A. Third row, Cameron Neisinger, Granite Construction sponsor number 12. Next to him, it's Mike Mears and the Buford Self Storage number 11L. In the fourth row, keep your eyes on the 14 of Aaron Willison. He is bad fast in the Tri-X Group sponsored car. And next to him, one of the most versatile racers in the Northwest, car number 8, Cody Ridge. First Line Systems sponsors his car. Cody has been good in a wing sprint car. He's been in a midget. He's been in a micro. And here on the pavement, he is equally just as fast. Row number 5, the former dwarf car and midget driver in the Quinsam Communications number 48. That is Stuart Lee. Next to Lee, car number 40 is Michael Newman, also sponsored by First Line Systems, Inc. Car number 92, Jim White, starting 11th. Car number 63, the grizzled veteran Marty Rossler. In the 63 car, he is sponsored by Gidland Rossler Racing. Car number 2 is Randy Anderson, starting 13th. Chase Sabato in the 19 starts 14th in the First Line Systems, Inc. car. So, 30 times around on the 3/8. They're ripping laps off down in the mid-teens, so you know they are cruising at speeds over 100 miles an hour and keeping a lot of that speed in through the corner. Haley, your experience as a driver, yeah, pavement late models, but you've been in the miniature version of these. You've been in a micro sprint on the dirt. Can you imagine having all the extra horsepower, all the extra downforce, and here on the pavement you go into the corner and the car sticks? That's got to be nuts.
From what I see from the grandstands and being able to watch them, it is insane how fast they're going. And yes, I have experience in a micro sprint, which is similar in a way, but like way less horsepower. These guys are insane, and they carry so much speed. It's so cool to watch.
Let's take it a step further. Whereas most of the rest of our divisions have either mirrors, spotters, or both, these guys have none of the above.
Yeah, and with the open wheel cars, it's a lot easier to get into wrecks. You can't bump and bang as much as you can as a late model where you don't have those wheels to jump over. So
You're also, it's open wheel, but it's also an open cockpit style design. So where in the race cars, you've got the ability to kind of hear somebody every once in a while, if not see them. Here in these cars, because you've got those open pipes and the headers coming off right by the cockpit, they make so much noise that really hearing somebody come inside or outside is additionally hard because it's just straight up loud.
yes, it is.
All right, so let's stack them in. They're going to go 30 times around. These are 8-cylinder cars. Again, first time we've seen the Granite Sprint Car Series here on Home Track Heroes this year. The cubic inches on them vary between 360 cubic inches, and there are some 410 cubic inches out there, although the 410s do have to restrict airflow, so they're on a even playing field with the 360s as far as that is. We've seen tire life be a thing in these races in years past. The guys who keep the car straighter are scrubbing less speed and are putting less wear and tear on their tires, do tend to come on a little bit later. These cars also change very significantly over the course of the race because they burn a lot of methanol. These cars are running on alcohol, not on gasoline right now, and in extreme circumstances, you could be burning a gallon a lap depending on how your fuel system goes. That's 8 pounds off your car per lap every time you're around, and the handling's going to be significantly different by the end of the race from the start. All right, strap in, boys and girls. Here we go. Granite Super Sprints for 30 with Middendorf and Dubois leading them down and by. Yellow lights still on in this. A lot of guys out here looking to get their season started off good. Jay Dishnu has been a very strong driver in this division. Watch him from the inside of row number 2. Dishnu's been one of those guys who's been good late race. He seems to come on mid-race and forward. We'll see what kind of setup they've got on that. Outside of him, first time I have seen Brad Almond in a very long time. One of a good, healthy group of Canadian contingent down here competing in our first Super Sprint main event of the year. And let's roar to life. Down the front straightaway. They're on the gas. Green flag is out, the main event of the evening here on Home Track Heroes on Town and Country Tractors Night. From the high groove, it is Dubois, shot out like a cannon, quickly opening it up. To the inside goes Dishnu. Now, one thing you're not going to see in these cars, you're not going to see them following each other a whole lot. They're going to be outside or inside the line as there is this weird turbulence that's kicked up by the back of the top wing. We call it dirty air, and you don't want to be in the dirty air of the other drivers. We got 2 together. That is Lee in the 48 who takes his aggression out on a porous and Uke tire on the back straightaway. Caution flag flies. Haley, let's get a look and see what happened. This from the perspective of Cody Ridge. Woo. And Cody having to save her. Nice save. Second look. Left rear to right front action is something that's been a lot of drivers here. So lead to the inside. Left front piles into that Uke tire. And these cars being exposed out there, the fronts are fragile, to say the least. There's a lot that can go wrong. You don't have the strongest components out there either, so stuff will bend, break, or at least knock out of alignment quite easily.
Yeah, and as we saw, just the slightest touch can throw somebody way out of the loop. And as we see, the closing rate is super quick as well.
So keep your eyes out as now Ridge has got a little bit of, he got a touch on the left rear. We're going to keep an eye out and see if that affects anything on that car going forward. I don't think Lee was able to get her fixed and join up again. Second try at getting this up and going, and Dubois again rolls to the early advantage. There is Dishnu in second, and he's going to be put in position to try to track him down. Middendorf is third, and Middendorf trying to hold off Aaron Willison, already using the middle groove through 1 and 2 to work his way in the top 3. Willison looks fast early.
Yes, he does, and as he's already in the third place position, working that outside groove, you can see he's just closing into second place super quick.
Are you watching anything specific on these cars as far as like the attitude of the car going into the corner to kind of determine who looks really good and who doesn't so far?
You can see that Aaron Williamson is driving it in super hard and on that right rear going into the corner, and he's rolling through the center super quick and closing in on that second place position.
Passing in these cars is tough because we talked about the dirty air factor, so you kind of got to be outside or inside on the line. Willison is able to get into the bottom of turn 1 really well on Dishnu. Thing is, if he gets by Dishnu and he's not quite up to Dishnu to make that happen, he's still got to track down Dubois, who looks real strong in the early going. So Dubois in the 7, he is your leader. Now we have seen advantages like he has over Dishnu shrink in the matter of a lap and a half. So this is not a dominant advantage. However, Dubois, getting way loose going into turn number 1. Right at the same time, Willison making a move to the inside of Dishnu. Dishnu got the door closed coming out of turn number 2, and you saw Willison there when the shower of sparks came up. That was him jumping on the brakes, trying to avoid running into the back of Jay. So out in front, Dubois escapes the bad wiggle that he had, gets back on the hammer, and holds a similar advantage to what he had over Dishnu. Dishnu has lost a little bit of the padding that he had between Willison. Willison fighting to try to get by Dishnu in 1 and 2 and work his way forward as yellow lights flash once again. 8A, Brad Amon rolling to a stop here on the front straightaway, 8 laps into this, and another look from Cody Ridge. Apparently Cody's going to have all the action shots for us in the Brandy Hood Promotions in-car camera look, and you can see Amon already had just pulled up to the outside of the racetrack, was having problems. Contact, I think, with the 11, and yeah, big time contact with Mike Mears, and that's what sends him limping up and out to the high side. Hard to see what the extent of the damage was in that car, but enough to pull him to a stop. And these cars don't have starters on them. Something we should tell everybody. Our wonderful Cascade Push Truck Association is in charge of getting these guys fired off and going. So you get in a wreck, you can't just hit the switch and get back going. You got to wait a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Back to the track we go as we are 22 laps left, 8 laps into this thing now. Dishnu a chance to start on the outside of Randy Dubois, as once again they'll gas it up and come to the green flag. Down the front straightaway from the speed cam, and there is Willison in the 14 working his way underneath Dishnu, and now Willison working out on the high side of Dubois, battle for the lead. Looks like Willison might have a nose contact going into 1. Both drivers get away. Willison gets away with the lead. Your new race leader, Aaron Willison. He got gutsy making that move to the outside, but he stuck it.
Yes, he did.
Meanwhile, behind him is Willison trying to get away from Dubois. 4th, 3rd, you can see Dishnu is taking some challenge, and I'm trying to pick up the car that's right in behind him. Look, I think that's Mears in the 11 who was working him over. So out front, Willison getting away. Now Dishnu in 3rd, trying to get back up to Dubois as he's trying to get a little bit of pad between himself and Mears as Aaron Willison cruising and closing in on the halfway mark. While Willison leads, we'll let you guys know this segment brought to you by Granite Construction, the proud sponsor of our Super Sprint Car Series, and celebrating over 100 years in business. Granite Construction, an award-winning company, great place to work as well. Find your dream job today at graniteconstruction.com. Oh, Willison's in cruise control here. This looks all too easy, and you know in a sprint car racing, it never is going to be that easy, right?
Yeah, now he's starting to catch lap traffic, and you'll see how that plays a role for the cars that are behind him.
It's Randy Anderson that he just worked his way up and around. Willison with the left side tires right down by the rumble strip around the bottom of our 3/8 mile track, 3 and 4. That car still has really nice attitude. It's getting over into the corner. Weight's transferring nice. Little spark as he stabbed the brake getting into 3 there. But boy, Willison at the halfway point of this race, that car looks fast and getting almost faster at this point as he will put Jim White down a lap down the back straightaway. So Willison looking to bring one home to Canada as he has got this one well in hand right now. Full straightaway and change over Dubois and Dishnu. Down the back straightaway for Aaron, and you can see still kicking up some sparks as he gets into the corner. We think that's brake, although at this point in time, you never know as far as suspension goes. He might be scraping the floor pan as he sets the car to go into turn number 3. Full straightaway and more as he's coming up at the back of the field and trying to lap Sabato in the 19, who Chase closing in the car in front of him. Trying to pick up the car number on that and not successful at it yet. We'll get there. Willison going to sail around the outside of Sabato and puts him a lap down. Now, that's Mike Newman in the 40. And Willison will cruise, makes the easy pass. Looks to set up Anderson. He'll get into the corner, and he will do that as well. Newman went to the outside of Anderson. Things got hairy for just a second for the veteran and Mike. So we're down to 9 laps to go. And again, right now, Aaron Wilson just wants to stay green, right? Stay green, please. Stay green.
He's just set on cruise control right now. He's got a ton of room behind him and looks like a ton of room in front of him at this point.
It's an awfully good feeling as a driver to know that you're in no man's land with nobody close to you and really nobody to run down in front of you, right?
Exactly.
Is it hard to gauge in the open wheel car, and especially again, no spotters, no mirrors, what your pad is on the field? Or
sometimes.
better question, Is it hard to gauge how hard to push it at certain points in time during the race?
That's a great question, because in the dirt micro sprints, we only get so many laps, and it's just you're on go the entire time.
Okay.
So with the closing rates being so quick and something going on around you at all times, you don't really think much about it. It's like you strap in the car and then you're just set on go.
Okay. In the late model, though, there's definitely a strategy to go for it, save it, right?
Exactly, especially with the longer run races. You have to save your tires, make sure you're not using them up too much, and even save the car. And then towards the end of the race, with 20 to go or wherever you are at that point, then you're just set on go. And then
With the balance to be struck as you're watching your leader, Willison, just weave his way through lap traffic. Cutting, oh my goodness! It's like they launched off a ramp for Mike Newman, and I think that was Dubois maybe that he ran into over there. It was. Let's get a couple other looks. There's Dubois coming up on Newman underneath. You saw Sparks, and airborne we go, getting into the corner. Wow. A look from Dubois. So let's see if we can figure out what happens for Randy as he's working inside. He got off racetrack. He went just too far underneath, and that set the car cattywampus. Another look from up top. You can see scrape, 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 slow-mo replay, and airborne goes Newman in the 40. Here's another look from Dubois, and in the cockpit, we go down. Wow. Crazy wreck between the two there, and Randy Dubois had a second-place run going. Unfortunately, we saw how hard it is sometimes for some drivers to get through lap traffic. That's going to cost him a runner-up spot in this main event.
yeah, and that was just an unfortunate situation for Mike Newman. As you saw, he caught some air there, which is a scary situation for any driver.
Well, we had some foreshadowing going on there, too. We had talked about how hard it is to know where other drivers are, know what their speed is, know what the closing rate comes in on them, and it just completely showed out right there. So Willison on the restart is going to have Dishnu and Mears in second and third with 4 to go.
And he just drives away from the field.
Well, you don't want to say this one's over, but by most means, this one looks almost over. It's Mears, Dishnu in fourth right now. I believe Middendorf trying to work his way back up, and heck, Marty Rossler's having a decent run, a quiet but solid one as well, as he's up into a top 5 with just a couple of laps left to go here in the Granite Super Sprints, a main event. Aaron Willison, one more time around, this has just been dominant. So 1 to go for Willison as he crosses the goal line in corner number 4. Car has stayed well balanced and consistent this whole race long, and opening night for the Granite Super Sprints. Your feature winner is going to be Aaron Willison in car number 14. Heck of a run for him. Wait for it. Wait for it. Long way back, there's Mears, and there's Dishnu, rounding out the top 3 as we throw things down to our Canadian secret agent on the podium.
Jay, you were in second for a little bit behind Randy there, and then on, I believe, the third restart or so, when Aaron got to the inside of you there, you gave him race for 1 or 2 laps, and then he got out in front.
Yeah, I messed this up tonight pretty big and was super loose. I'm dead tired after that. These guys raced awesome. They raced super clean, and it's cool to race with caliber guys like that, and we appreciate them coming down and supporting the series.
When the right rear on one of these things starts to go away like that, we saw with about 5 to go, it was kind of hazing the right rear coming off of 4 especially. What can you do from the driver apart from just kind of sticking the wing in the trunk?
You know, I could settle down a little bit, but you would have thought I was up at Skagit tonight. It's just dirt tracking the whole time, so we'll take what we learned and come back next time.
Who would you like to thank for the 9 camp there, Jay?
Newman Racing, my dad, my wife, and all my family for coming out and supporting us, and all the fans that came out tonight.
Jay Dishnu, 3rd place run tonight, car number 9, nicely run. All right, photo all out of the way, photo op-wise. Mike, you managed to get up to 2nd there. I think it was 3rd before Randy tangled with the lapper. Looked like the rear brake was really starting to glow there on this 11L.
That's what I hear. Of course, I didn't see it, and brakes were working good still, so that's a good thing.
I know you've only been here a handful of times, once in a dwarf car, once in one of these wing sprint cars last year. What did you guys kind of learn from the last time you were here, and how did you put it to use for tonight?
Really just experience and me learning to drive around this track. It's a little different than anything else I've driven, but we made big improvements on the car, and the driver made even bigger improvements, I think.
Looked like you were really liking the flat, especially in 1 and 2. Did it kind of help you get through 1 and 2 a little bit better and help the car steer?
Yeah, it helped loosen the car up a little bit so I could pivot through the corner a little bit better. So it was working for me.
I'd like to thank sponsors, supporters with the 11 car getting you over here from Canada.
Yeah, big sponsors: Beaufort Self Storage, B&L Machine, M&B Sheet Metal, Ace Brewing, and big thanks to everybody that helps us. My wife, mom and dad, and of course Rob and Lee Layton. If you ever have a chance to get to Vancouver Island, get up to Saratoga Speedway.
Mike Mears gets a second place run tonight, the 11L. Nicely done, Mike. Well, Aaron, you started back, I believe it was row 3 or 4 on the inside, and just through all those restarts helped really get you with track position there when everybody was kind of bunched up.
Yeah, the Tri-X group car was outstanding tonight. The initial start went our way pretty good. We were able to make a few spots right out of the gate, and then picked away at each restart, and things went really well for us.
I know when you went to the outside of Randy there was a little bit of contact. Both of you guys had it sideways and had to feed her a handful of wheel to the right to keep it pointed in the right direction.
Well, me and Randy racing right there, that was a lot of fun, and that was a really pivotal point of the race because neither one of us was going to be in dirty air from lap traffic for about 10 laps. So making that position was key just to start saving tires through the center section of the race.
I'd like to thank the sponsors and supporters with 14 Camp. I know I already mentioned the Tri-X group that helps you guys out.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Brian Baker, Tri-X Group, Jason Frost, the Keg Steakhouse, Greater Victoria, Taylor Metalcraft, Tron Race Cars, Philco Machine. And I'm really happy to see a lot of BC cars down here racing at Evergreen Speedway. We lost a speedway up there, and our loss is going to be Evergreen Speedway's gain. You're going to see a lot of fast Canadian cars down here this summer, and a new announcer.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron Willison, your main event winner tonight, car number 14. Nicely done, Aaron.
Great success there from Aaron Willison here on opening night for the Granite Super Sprints here at Evergreen Speedway. Well, Haley Constance, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Thank you for having me. I had a blast being on the show.
So don't take any offense. You can't come back next week. And the reason is you're going to be on racetrack competing. You're going for a win in the Pro Late Models.
Yes,
That's right. Next week on the show, Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late Models are coming back to action. Will be their second feature of the year. You can tune into Home Track Heroes to see that next Sunday. Also on the card, the Outlaw Figure 8s, the Stinger 8s. We'll have the Adult Hornets, and we'll have the mini stocks out there as well. The next time you can be with us at Evergreen Speedway Live, it's going to be this exact show. How cool is that going to be? Granite Super Sprints are back on the card on May 13th. You'll also get the street stocks. You'll get the super stock figure 8s, the Youth Hornets, and the Legends all getting after it once again. Going to be an awesome show. And like we talked about earlier, nothing like coming out live to catch it all at Evergreen Speedway, right?
Exactly.
Haley, best of luck coming up in the Pro Late Model race. Thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to watching you. That first win's going to be something, you know.
Yes, it will.
And it's coming soon. So on behalf of all of us here at Home Track Heroes and the CW11, the staff and management of Evergreen Speedway, I want to thank all of the fans for spending your Sunday night in here with us, for all of our film crew, for our producer, engineer extraordinaire, Derek Hobbs, Haley Constance on color commentary. My name is Caleb Hart. We will see you next week for an all-new episode of Home Track Heroes here on the CW11. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on CW11. Join us next week for more great racing from Evergreen Speedway.